The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
This season of the Lotus 49 Series has certainly thrown up some surprises. 2 of the 3 races have been won by a driver who couldn't seem to buy himself a win before. But luck can't hold out forever, and eventually the numbers may swing the way of someone else. Will things go back to business as usual, or will we get another surprise winner today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 4 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, today we rock up to Brands Hatch, which is known for being very unforgiving. Is this car track combination another recipe for an unexpected result?
Ooh, I certainly think it is. Now, our usual front runners are going to have to certainly be careful on the start of this race because there is trouble to be found early here in West Kingsdown in Kent, England. Yes, good day to you. This facility originally used as a military training ground. And the first actual race on these grounds was held in 1926, over 4 miles, about 6.4 kilometers between cyclists and cross-country runners. There's a long-lost fact for you. But this Grand Prix layout that we're going to see today, 3.703 kilometers, just over 2 miles, 2.3 miles, 9 turns, and a lot of excitement here. Hosted 12 runnings of the British Grand Prix between 64 and 1986. And Joe, we're going to get it on here today, but first we're going to hop on board the GSRC Lotus 49 for a trip around Brands Hatch.
Alright, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Brands Hatch. Paddock Hill Bend is incredibly difficult to squeeze the most out of in this car. It's bouncing around on entry, it's a curved braking zone, and then the track drops away too. Ease back onto the power smooth and let the compression cause the car to grip. Druid should make for a potential passing zone, but the braking is heavily shortened by the uphill nature. Like any hairpin, square this one off, but in this car, it doesn't always pay off to track out all the way. You have so little time to switch sides for Graham Hill Bend, and this car needs to be settled. Make sure to use up the runoff to the outside as that's fair game and it helps you carry your speed. Then it's a short blast down to Surtees where once again the track curves as you get to the binders. A late apex tends to pay off, but even if you straight line it, the car likes to lose traction. And that can really hurt on the run over Pilgrim's Drop, which is the fastest section of the track. But despite the top end, the braking for Hawthorne is pretty short due to the compression and the fact that the corner is just plain fast. Coming out of there, hold to the left and really focus on your markers because the back half of the track is punishing. Westfield is very blind on entry and the car struggles to find grip on exit. Expect drivers to short shift just to find traction. Dingledale and Sheen are just as treacherous and the apex isn't visible until you're right on top of it. Once again, not much time to set yourself up for Sterling where you really need to use the banking to carry your speed. Getting a run off the corner is important because otherwise you could be susceptible to attack into Clark. The crest makes the car understeer mid-corner, and then you'll be fighting to keep the car stable as you get back on the gas. A little lift is needed on the Brabham Straight, but hopefully you've now finished a lap around Brands Hatch. This is a classic track for sure, but let's take a look at the points and see where they sit so far here in the Golden Anniversary Championship. For the drivers, at the moment, Ove Trangaré leads with those 2 wins. He's having a fantastic season, but how long can this go on? Michel Dudignon holding up second. He's not too far back, but he has got some work to do. Billy Bob Wright has been doing some great work himself. He's been on a few good seasons so far, and he's actually in a close fight for second. They're only 3 points back from Dudignon. There it gets even tighter. 5 drivers for 4th place. How is that for a fight there? It's certainly going to be interesting, and I think things should shake up today. Now, let's go to the Constructors' Championship. Sean, what's it looking like over there?
Well, it's Norway right now. They're on top there, Joe, in first place. The United States is coming back. They are just 8 points out, now up the board, 1 there in second. France sliding just a little bit. Maybe today they get a little help from Michel Dudignon. We'll see. Finland in 4th, up a couple of spots to get there, but they're very, very closely followed there by the UK, who could stand to get a good run today. Maybe someone like a Mick Claridge bails them out today and gets them a little further up the board.
Yeah, Mick Claridge has shown up in 2 of the races, and Dudignon has only shown up at 1. Both of them out there today. Let's see if they can change the tides and return things to how they used to be. I'm sure Trangrade is hoping that will not be the case. There we see Dudignon currently sitting at the top of the timing sheets with a 1:21.6, Sean.
That's going to be tough to beat. That's going to be really, really tough to beat.
Yeah, conditions even better than what we saw in warm-up a little bit ago. 77 degrees out on track. It is going to be very grippy, which is probably going to make it even tougher to try and pass out here as we watch Zoko put his laps in, sitting in 5th right now with a 1:23 flat coming around the back of the course up toward Sheen.
Yeah, and you've really only got a few small chances at a pass here. Maybe on Paddock Hill in Druid's turn 2, or maybe down in the Clark curve, which is turn 9 at the very last turn of this track. But as we talked about in the pre-race show, passing going to be really, really tough here. And I was watching Dudignon and Claridge play around a little bit in practice, and even they were taking it easy. You know what I mean? Give it a little bit of space, because it's really, really easy to miss your line here. And if you do, it means trouble.
Now, I was watching Mick Claridge's qualifying. He has left the track. And I'm not sure if maybe he's going to come from behind like he typically does. Michel Dudignon has finished his second lap and improves to a 1:21.671. But I wonder if Mick is, once again, not thinking about the championship, just out here to have fun. Gary Teal comes across to finish his second lap, I believe.
Wow.
Yes, he does.
Nice lap by Teal there, a 1:23 flat.
That puts him into the top 5. Nice job. Of the drivers yet to do their second lap, still out running. Raymond Smith is the only one out there at the moment. As he finishes his final lap, he's got a 1:25.5, enough for 12th position. I do see AJ Bear is on his warm-up lap, just getting ready to start his first timed one.
Joe, I think Mick just did not do well on that opening lap and decided to just let her sit there. Did not make a second attempt at it.
Oh, and AJ Bear actually was on his first time lap. Excuse me. That puts him on the front row. My goodness, what a lap that was. A 1:22 flat. He's still amazingly 4/10 off Dudignon for what is not a very long track in the first place.
It'll be interesting to watch this second lap here. What AJ can do, man, he could pick that up. It's not an insurmountable amount there in time, considering how fast his opening lap was. He may have something here.
I'm going to watch this lap, see if he can improve. We got some information from Mick Claridge in the text chat. Apparently, that sounds like a mistake. He's talking about being close to throwing his wheel across the room. He must be very upset with whatever happened to him on those qualifying laps.
Well, I don't think it's going to help. I don't think it's going to help his garden much if he does what he says he wants to do with that wheel. So, don't think that's going to bring the tomatoes in.
Certainly not. Bear coming around to finish this lap out of clearways. And this one is not going to improve his time, unfortunately, as he slides it into that first corner. And with that, it looks like our order is settled. Nobody else out doing laps with a minute to go means nobody can complete a new one. Let's go through our grid. Michel Dudignon on the pole by a whole 4/10 over the other front row sitter, AJ Bear in second. Ove Trangarade will start this race in third, with Bruce Nelson starting in fourth. Then row 3, you've got Billy Bob Wright. Let's see if he can improve and keep his tear on the points. Gary Teal will be next to him in sixth. Benjamin Zoko will be starting in seventh, followed by Sandeep Banduji. Glad to see him back once again competing in this series. Andrew Ang will start in ninth, and rounding out the top 10 is Don Tell Me Something Good.
All right, and then we go down to 11th. It's going to be Takaya Maraki. There, the Asian club driver in 11th. 12th, going to go to Hideki Koivitso. 13th, Raymond Smith, followed there in 14th by Richard Marin. Jack Olstad will start 15th today. Mick Claridge in 16th. 17th, Ignacio Olivares. Laurent Rafago in 18th. And let's see, I'm sorry. I got that all wrong. That was Gary Anderson in 17th. Ignacio Olivares there in 19th. 19 Lotus 49s ready to start this race at Brands Hatch today, Joe.
And that is a relatively large number for this series, and that's not passed up Mick Claridge's attention. He's aware, as he's also mentioned in the chat, that his poor qualifying means he's got even more drivers to get around. This is going to be a long day on a very difficult track to pass at. As you can see, the cars gritting up on the field. Sean, is your money on Dudignon today, or do you think we can get another surprise?
You know, I think we can get another surprise, but I think it's going to be dependent upon Dudignon making a mistake on these opening laps. We'll see what kind of a run guys like AJ Bear, Ove Trengerade can get there at Dudignon. Gary Teal back there in 6th, man, a great start, could go a long way for him. But yeah, your money, if you're a betting man, your money's really got to be on Dudignon right now with him up there at the point.
Lights are up, engines are revving. Green flag is out, and AJ Bear is off the line horribly. He was very late to the power. In the middle, Gary Teal tries to look up for a 3 wide, but decides better of it, going into Paddock Hill Bend. Very tricky through there as they spread out, now coming up to Druids. Dudignon very well clear of Bear, who stays in 2nd, Tranquerade in 3rd with a great start. Snelson in 4th, already getting single file as they come to Graham Hill Bend.
Everybody clean out of Druids to get things started here. Now everyone's clearing Graham Hill Bend there.
Now coming up to where you want to get a good exit, climbing up the hill out of Surtees through Pilgrim's Drop. This is where you could see some pass attempts with the heavy braking down into Hawthorne. Billy Bob Wright under threat from Gary Teal, but manages to hold him off. One pass way in the back, Richard Morin taking a look on Laurent Rafago, but otherwise nobody be able to do much of anything.
Oh, Claridge is already up 4 spots. Wow. He just got past Don Good, that is, and now he's working on Olstad. Olstad up 4 spots himself. Well, Jack off to a great start.
That was into Westfield. It's almost impossible to make passes into there, but Mick Claridge managed to find a way. But up at the front, already coming across the start-finish line, is Michel Dudignon completing lap 1. He's got an 0.8 of a lead over AJ Bear. A little bit frantic there in the mid-pack. Oh, as Bear slides it into Druids. Manages to hold onto it. Oh, and that car looks very unsteady. Meanwhile, Mick Claridge.
Yeah.
He is off track. Oh, no.
That got Meraki and Jack Olstad, unfortunately. Mick kind of set it up the inside here.
One of the dangers of trying to come through the field.
Yeah.
And that was Olstad, who was trying to pass on Takaya at the same time. We're going to watch on board Mick. You can see he had the run, but I think Jack was just so focused on the car ahead.
Yeah, and he
went fast.
I don't think Jack saw him up there on the inside, to be honest with you.
Oh, and AJ Bear has a problem.
Well, he certainly does.
Out of Sterling, you can see him stationary.
Got to let a lot of cars get by here. It's going to put AJ way down towards the back of the field. He's just now getting going here on the replay you see there.
Yeah, it started in Sheen, where he went wide, was way off the apex, and then as he came back, he must have had a lot of gunk on his tires because he lost the car through that banked corner and slammed into that inside wall. That sets him well down into 18th.
That's a missed opportunity for him today. That's a shame. Well, after that little stack up, things have kind of spread out just a bit.
Indeed, it's 3.7 seconds between first and second, and that order is Dudignon, and Trangrade moves himself up into the popcorn position. He's trying to hold off Bruce Nelson, who rounds out the podium. Billy Bob Wright also well within the hunt in fourth, and Gary Teal rounds out your top 5. Now, the interesting thing about this, Sean, I don't know if Commentator's Curse works this way, but the last 2 wins that Trangarade has had, it's because he's put himself in that position in second, and the leader made a mistake.
Yeah, he's been able to capitalize on that, and this could be another opportunity today. But Dugnon's got a lot of clear track in front of him, Joe, and it's gonna take a really big mistake from him at this point to submit and hand over that lead to Obey.
Saw a big slide from the Frenchman through Paddock Hill Bend, but didn't look like it was out of control, just letting the back end of the car rotate through that corner. And you mentioned having clear track in front of him. I expect we will see some traffic today, and that is going to be tough to try and get by. And one of the wins of Trangarade as well came when Mick Claridge got tangled in traffic at Snetterton.
Yep. Exactly, and traffic is going to be an issue here today, Joe. We talked about the difficulties of passing here at Brands Hatch, and, well, getting through the traffic going to be equally as important as battling with your fellow competitors. So we'll have to watch that, but for right now, we're okay. Like I said, our leader has a lot of track in front of him to cover, and we still have a full 18 laps to get around here. So it'll be a little bit unless we see some major stack up on track, but it will be an issue before this race is over.
We're watching Benjamin Zocco, who's currently got the closest fight out on track. We rode on board just over his shoulder for a while. He's trying to hunt down Gary Teal and the Wonder Bread Machine as they come up to Clark and then out of Clearways. I may have that backwards. Maybe Clearways first, Clark second. I need to check on that. That's what you get for having a corner with 2 names.
I thought it was Clark first, then Clearways.
It's easier for me to just call it Clark, but anyways, Gary Teal very much under threat. Zocco continues to close in. They come out of Graham Hill Bend, down into the valley once more, up to Surtees, the very difficult curved braking into this late apex, trying to get the power down. This exit, Sean, always was one that I found tough to find that limit of where the traction was coming up that hill.
Yeah, we talked about that in the pre-race also, man. It's just, unless you're in some sort of a motion sim, it's really, really hard to get that feeling there. And what's missing? The butt dyno, right? What a battle here, though, going.
He's getting awful close. He took a look through Dingledale, but the pass into Sheen is not an easy one to make, so he's going to stay behind now. Coming out of Sterling, Clark can sometimes be a place to pass, but Zocco is certainly not close enough at this point to the Virginia driver. They're going to complete one more lap. 17 to go at the moment.
Andrew Eng and Sandeep Banerjee having a pretty decent battle here. Andrew kind of in his tracks right now, Joe, but is just a tick faster at the moment. Sends it a little deep right there and then hauls it back in as they get their way through Druids.
Tries to square off that exit to get himself a run. Both of them swinging out wide out of Graham Hill Bend. You can take that AstroTurf. It's all considered part of the racing surface. He is indeed closing in, getting closer and closer. I'm keeping a half an eye on Zocco as well as this. Both of them under half a second on the driver ahead. Now into what I consider the trickier back half of the course. Narrow, fast, medium speed corners all the way through. The barriers on either side not giving much in the way of rooms for mistake.
Banerjee also right now getting a little bit faster every lap, Joe. Starting to feel a little bit of pressure there from Eng.
Oh, it seems like Don Good might have had an issue. I see he's off track and he gets back on. This is into Sheen. Well, interestingly, it's like he just didn't steer into the corner.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to make of that one.
I'm not sure either. I want to speculate that he missed his mark or something, but I don't know.
Could have been something in the real world distracted him. But the Coke machine is back on track, unfortunately down into 12th. He did lose positions.
Richard Morin is in the pit, Joe. Not sure exactly what happened with him. I did see it. Oh, he spun. He spun in Sterling's. Gets a piece of the wall down on the inside.
On screen, we saw an attempt from Zoko on Gary Teal, but that was not successful. We saw just how hard it is, even though you're braking hard in a Hawthorne in this car. Could not gain enough ground to get the nose in. Behind them, Ang has lost ground on Banerjee, so this is now the closest fight once again between Teal and Zoko. Australian. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, Zoko with that run coming out here gets up the hill and that has to slow things down, but to the inside down the hill, Joe.
Teal gave him room, or maybe he just made a mistake. He was not at the apex at all. Chops him off down into Druids. Gives him just a car's width and does not anymore once they come off the corner. And boy, Zoko has now been trying harder and harder and is starting to stick his nose in. I think we might see a change for the top 5 soon enough.
I think Zoko's being a very nice guy right now.
I think he's thinking more about getting to the end of this race. This car so hard to control at times, even side by side, that you can't really be too aggressive at times, and he is just in conservationist mode.
Well, I found myself being very, very conservative in practice laps here, just for that struggle to keep it on track like you talked about there, Joe.
While this battle is happening right now, our leader is the only driver able to put race pace laps in the 21s. And Dudignon is stretched out over terrain grade by about 6 seconds here in these first 7 laps. He's still got a lot of track to go before he gets up to the car in last at the moment. At least on the lead lap in last. That's Laurent Raffago. Gary Anderson already a lap down.
You know, Andrew Ng has really started to close things up again on Banerjee. He seems to have gathered things back up here and in control of his Lotus 49. He got it down to just about 0.6 of a second here.
Banerjee a little bit off the apex through Surtees. That loses him a little time once again. Ang on the hunt as they crest over Pilgrim's Drop and under the bridge.
You are at top speed coming down there, Joe. It's the braking kind of tricky.
Certainly always required bravery on my end. I know that because even though you scrub off a lot of speed with the brakes in a Hawthorne, it's so narrow through there. This and the fight for 5th have been what we've been watching for most of this race. Everybody else really spread out. Although Don Good is gaining on Takaya Meraki, a new driver, at least on the broadcast, that we haven't seen before. This is for 11th spot. Remember, Good made a mistake, and he is trying to work his way back through the field, past the cars that he has better pace than.
Yeah, and Meraki had been fighting with Koivisto, but finally Koivisto started to get the advantage on him. Meraki's made a couple of small mistakes that have cost him, and that has brought Don Good to his back door here, but nothing yet. Meraki's still hanging on here through Druids.
We saw another one there through Panico Bend, but 3rd place is now up for grabs as Billy Bob Wright looks to the inside into Westfield, gets Bruce Nelson a little bit off of the racing line. That gives another opportunity down into Sheen. Oh, almost losing the car, going off track. Bruce Nelson desperately trying to keep the car out of the barriers, somehow holds on to the position.
And Billy Bob almost followed him through there, Joe.
That illustrates perfectly how hard it is to go side by side through any of the corners, just going off the racing line once, and both of them getting a little shaken. Snelson stays in third, Billy Bob Wright in fourth.
Yeah, and it took Snelson a moment to recover, and still, ooh, boys, get it right out there to the edge. Out there, just about in the sand, hanging out on the beach, the edge of the beach.
Now Billy Bob Wright can smell blood in the water. Gets right on that gearbox, but he loses traction coming out of Graham Hill Bend, and that loses him a 10th. Ing seems to have
had a little
lost
trouble.
Sandeep.
Yeah, he got in, Joe, he got in to Paddock Hill just a little bit offline. Oh, and it cost him big time.
We're going to watch from on board. This is a wild ride.
Yeah, he didn't want to be right up there on the edge, Joe. He was just a little bit off center.
And to make matters worse for him, Sandeep, we couldn't quite see it from the onboard, but Sandeep made his own mistake. So if he would have kept the car together, he probably could have had a pass there. Instead, he loses to Jack Olstead and down to 9th.
Yeah, and Olstead up to that 8th spot. That's 7 spots for him. Olstead doing a really, really good job of climbing through the field here after having to wade through some trouble there early in the race.
Let's jump back up to the battle for the podium. Billy Bob Wright has not made a pass yet. He is still within half a second on Bruce Nelson. Northwest driver trying to stay as calm as possible. Opposite corners of the U.S. in battle here. Billy Bob Wright, hailing from Florida, as a very late apex from Snelson, trying to get himself a run. Somehow doesn't allow Billy Bob to get to the inside through Surtees. And Snelson is using every inch of the track. He cut those tires all the way down to the grass coming through Hawthorne. This is really where I feel, Sean, that a driver's mettle is tested on a track like this and a car like this when someone is right up your gearbox.
Yeah, boy, it's pressure, Joe, and this track is tough enough without being pressured into making a mistake. Mistakes come easy here, and how well can one handle the pressure? I honestly, I'm still watching Benjamin Zocco trying to. Teal has just got ice in his veins, Joe, because he's not rattled at all by the many attempts that Zocco has taken on him. He's doing it again down here in Druids, down to the inside. Oh, they almost bang wheels.
Oh, wow. For a second time, almost coming together, but it switches back down into Graham Hill Bend. Teal is not giving up. Look at that. I thought the pass was done. He was almost a full car length past, and Zocco still couldn't execute. Gary Teal with a robust defense to hold on to this top 5.
Again, it goes back to what I was saying, man. He is just cool. I mean, Zocco has been working on this for 4, maybe 5 laps now, and nothing doing, man. Teal continues to hold serve here in 5th.
You can't see me right now, but I am shaking my head because Gary Teal has been gone for a while, but it's like he never left. That is incredible driving to hold on to this spot. I am incredibly impressed at how he is handling this car and this track together. Like you said, just soaking up the pressure lap after lap. He's got to do it for 9 more of them, though.
Yeah, and if you're tuning in for the first time, you're not quite sure what you're watching, Benjamin Zocco is no joke, okay? He's not a slouch here. So Teal really, and here we go again. Zocco looks to the inside, takes a peek, thinks better of it. Now he gets the momentum off the top of the hill. And it's going to be Druids again where they battle.
He did it once. Can he do it again? Oh, and no, this time Zoko gets fully ahead of him. He leaves the door open, but with Teal not being close enough, finally, after a number of laps, 14 of them, he gets it done. Zoko, a patient man and a hard-charging man, getting himself into fifth.
I really didn't think he was going to get by him. I'm a little surprised that happened. Maybe Teal will fight to get that spot back. I hope he does, because it was certainly fun to watch.
AJ Bear has been trying to get back through this field after his second lap incident. He's up to 14th and has been hassling Raymond Smith. I think it looks like Bear must have some sort of damage. He made a mistake in a Druids on this lap. That was a mistake in a Surtees.
Yeah, he does have some damage that he picked up earlier in this race, and that has definitely got his top speed off.
It's unfortunate to see. Explains why he's still this far down. Usually you would expect him to be just scything through this class. Oh, as he sticks his nose into Sheen, but he's not brave enough for that one.
Oh, there he goes.
Loses it.
Yep, the brakes.
It out of the Armco.
He was really...
He must have hit the incident limit. He just disappeared.
You know what? I wasn't even paying attention to that. I see over here he did. Wow, what a tough race for AJ Bear.
That was insult to injury for sure. And that is day over for the number 4 machine. With that, and only a few laps left to go, let's run you down the top 10. Michel Dudignon has been leading since the drop of the green. And typical fashion for the Frenchman, almost Prost-like, 8.8 seconds over second place, Ove Trangarade, who I don't believe, he's not going to lose his championship lead in this one. This is the type of race that he needs. Solidly in second place. He's another 9 seconds ahead of Bruce Nelson, who is still holding on to third and still holding off Billy Bob Wright, who has been hounding him for fourth the whole race long. And then the top 5, Sean, is rounded out by Benjamin Zoko.
Yeah, and then it goes to Gary Teal, who was in that top 5 up until about 2 laps ago when Zoko got by him. But Teal having a great race. The man from Virginia sits in 6th, will go back to 7th. It's going to be Jack Olstad right now. Olstad himself having an excellent race. He started 15th, finds himself here now in 7th, being chased by Sandeep Banerjee, who right now is struggling to catch Jack. Jack had been battling with him pretty closely, but that battle might be just about over. Go a little bit further back, just about a second, to Andrew Ng, who has a chance to pick this position up. Now, he started 9th. He would like to do one better, but he's going to have to get through Sandeep to do it. And then rounding out the top 10 is the hard-charging Deki Koivitso. Now they're in that 10th spot. He did start today in 12th, Joe.
The interesting thing about Olstead and Banerjee is last we saw them, Banerjee was ahead of Olstead, so we must have missed a pass for that 7th position. A nice job by Jack to get himself up there. And it's actually, Jack is probably the hard charger of the race, I'd say, coming from 15th.
Yeah, and he was behind that mess that Mick Claridge had gotten into early. And he narrowly escaped peril getting through there.
Not a bad day for the California driver who is up early at the crack of dawn here on the West Coast. I can sympathize being on mountain time in the U.S. A little bit early for these races, but certainly handy for the prevalent European crowd that loves this Lotus 49. Third place still not abating. Although now it's splitting up a little bit because Billy Bob Wright with a big slide coming into Surtees.
Yeah, tires are getting a little worn out right now. He's heating up here in the closing laps. He's just going to slide it here, Joe.
Nice catch, from the Florida driver.
And not like he's the first one to have done it down there before.
Oh, he puts his tires off. We just caught it a little bit coming out of Sheen. That's going to lose him even more time. He was smart enough to keep out of the power, putting it off into the green stuff, out of that fast corner. He's now a second and a half back.
Okay, well, the good news is he's got 5 laps here to focus and really try and get back on point. Maybe have a last lap opportunity to get through Bruce Nelson. Well, not through him, but around him. You know what I mean?
Hopefully not through him. That's not the way I'm sure he'd like to pass. But a little bit farther back, Andrew Ng still hunting Sandeep Banerjee for that 8th spot now, as they've gathered a position from mistakes from cars ahead. Ooh, big lockup from Sandeep down into Paddock Hill Bend. Doesn't quite make the apex, but holds it together.
You know, Joe, and I remember towards the beginning of this race, we talked about how lap traffic might become a factor. And, you know, as I look at where everybody's on track, boy, our leader still has a little ways to go to catch Raymond Smith, who is at the back of the field right now. And, boy, I don't know. With just about 4.5 laps left, I don't know if he's actually going to catch him.
Well, Smith is running 125s consistently. Dudugnan 121s. 4 seconds a lap. I think he's going to close him in 4 laps here. Smith running 13th right now, and he started 13th, so really nothing lost, nothing gained. Bit of a lonely race out there for the Canadian driver.
Ah, the loneliness of the long-distance runner. Boy, I'll tell you what. Banerjee better watch out here. Andrew Ng has really picked it up. This battle still rages on for 8th place.
Picked it up and putting him down. Andrew trying all he can to pry this 8th position away from the Club Asia driver as they come through Druids one more time. And we'll have to keep half an eye on Thiel and Ulstad because that's starting to come together just ahead of them.
You're going to look at one out of the lefty eye and one out of the right eye, but Jack Ulstad right now digging, baby. Trying to make a move on Thiel. It did not happen down there in Surtees. You get a little bit of a slingshot here. Going to close in on him.
Not quite close enough to execute a pass into Hawthorne. Both drivers, both battles closing in to within about 2 car lengths here through the back half of the course. Staying patient as they weave their way through these medium speed blind bends.
Boy, this is one of those tracks where you really need your marks, as they say. Those visuals, so you know where you're braking and where you may want to make that turn in on those medium speed corners that you talked about, Joe.
Yeah, the designers of this track in Mid-Ohio must have shared notes when it came to apexes.
Oh,
big slide.
Slipping. Yeah, big slide there on the top of the hill.
Still gaining ground, taking his nose in there to the apex of Druids. Thinking about it, not a serious attempt, but giving Gary Thiel something to look at in his mirrors every corner. Getting closer and closer right up to the gearbox, but he overshoots the apex, and that's going to deny him an opportunity. A big mistake from Ulstad. He could have been close enough for a pass into Hawthorne, but you can see the ground that he's lost on Thiel. Closes back in through that fast right-hander.
Boy, nothing changed with Banerjee and Ng. Ng still just not able to close and get in there close enough to make a legitimate run at him here yet.
Oh, Ulstad's got a great run up to Clark. Has his nose inside, but once again, can't do anything with it.
Well, you know, he had to get out of it. You can't get in there too hot. In the Clark curve, yeah, here we go again.
Oh, wow, he is deep on the brakes into Druids. And these guys are running out of time to settle this because Michel Dudignon is getting the white flag here in a moment. He's not battling with anyone, although he is dealing with traffic. He's getting by Don Good. Third place closing in as well once again. Billy Bob
keeping
Wright.
an eye on it.
Yeah. So many things happening around the track. Lots of great battles. Ang has fallen off of Banerjee a little bit, but Olsted's still on top of Teal.
Billy Bob Wright has got one lap to make a run here at Bruce Nelson for the podium. Out of Paddock Hill Bend, down into Druids. Oh boy.
Locking
Nelson
him up
got it hot.
Oh, Gary Teal is in the pits. Gary Teal has peeled off. Did he not put enough fuel in the car?
Oh boy.
Disappointment. After what a great defense that was from Teal all race long.
Billy Bob with a strong move out of Surtees.
Oh, in third place, side by side at the moment, as Snelson holding on around the outside of Hawthorne. Fantastic job, but Michel Dudignon is coming off the final corner. He led from the green. Dudignon, dominant performance for a win here at Brands Hatch.
Billy Bob got a couple of two more chances here, maybe.
He's throwing everything, including the kitchen sink at Snelson. Snelson doing all he can to hold on to this podium position. Down to the final corner, he gets a good exit off it. And it's going to go to Bruce Nelson for third. Tranqueray did get second place all by his lonesome.
Wow. What a battle there between those two.
It's not over for seventh either. Banerjee has to hold on to it. Can't make any mistakes here in the final corner through Clark and Clearways. Ang takes a little bit of a look to the inside, but he's smooth off the corner. Sandeep Banerjee is going to hold on to that seventh. A nice fight.
Yeah, and Ang throws everything at it, but Mick Claridge's wheel there, and boy, what a battle between those two. That was a lot of fun.
And that should close things up as we watch Gary Teal bring it home, unfortunately, in what looks like 9th or 10th place here. So with that, we're going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And on screen, we'll have all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Brands Hatch Circuit, as we just watched round 4 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. And man, this was a great race. Despite being difficult to pass here, some stunning battles gave us a lot of excitement, but that wasn't the case up at the front of the field. Michel Dudignon outqualified the whole field by 0.4 of a second. He held that gap and finished 13 seconds ahead of Ove Trangrade at the checkered flag. Bruce Nelson was really the story of the race of the podium, fighting hard with Billy Bob right at the line. There was only 0.3 between them. Billy Bob had to settle for 4th. Benjamin Zocco as well was in a great battle of his own. He managed to get 5th. Jack Ulstead finished 6th after he was trying to peel that away from Gary Teal, who didn't put enough fuel in the car. We confirmed that as we were away from break. But behind Ulstead, it was Sandeep Banerjee coming back from a little bit of a break from this series, returning with a 7th place finish. Andrew Ang finishes in 8th behind him. Teal, after his splash and dash, comes home in 9th. Hideki Koivisto rounds out our top 10. Sean?
Okay, and then we'll go back to 11th. It's going to be Takaya Maraki finishing there, newcomer, 11th place finish, right where he started. Don, tell me something good, 12th place today. Raymond Smith, 13th. Laurent Rafago there in 14th, up 4 spots for him. AJ Bear, 15th, going to finish 9 laps down today. 16th going to Gary Anderson. Richard Morin, 17th. Mick Claridge, after an early incident in this race, going to settle for 18th. And Ignacio Olivares did not actually take the grid, guys.
And with that, looks like we don't have any of our podium waiting for us in the interview room yet, but we do have 4th place Billy Bob Wright, which should give us some interesting views on that fight he had with Bruce Nelson. Billy Bob, you won't be able to wash the sweat from your face because you threw the kitchen sink at him.
Yeah, Joe, that is so true, man. I mean, I did everything I could do to get Bruce, but he is so tough, man. I mean, the guy's been driving this car a lot, and when he shows up, I know I've got a fight on my hands because he and I are always really close. And so that was lots of fun, man, no doubt.
Now, when you wind up in a situation like that, this track, we talked about how tough it is to pass here. What was your mind focused on trying to get by him? Were you just looking for mistakes? Were you thinking of a specific corner that you were going to try it in?
Yeah, I mean, definitely you have to have a mistake from somebody at Bruce's level. I mean, they have to make a mistake, and that's the only way I caught him is 2 times he made mistakes. But going into turn 1 is so risky, but it was really the best place where I was quicker than he was. And then going through Westfield also very regularly gave me a shot at him going through Dingle. I was getting some runs on him there as well, but he just didn't make enough mistakes. And when he did, right there at the end, I think with 2 laps to go, I think he made a big mistake, and I got on the gas too soon and spun the tires, and that was really game over when I did that.
Certainly seemed like a mistake from either end would settle the fight, but next week, we're going to another British track once again over to Silverstone. Am I seeing right that you guys are running the GP course this time instead of the historic course?
I think you're right, Joe, but I honestly am not absolutely positive about that. But I'm pretty sure it is the GP course this time, so looking forward to it. One thing I wanted to mention, I don't know if you guys talked about it, but man, we had a good field today, and with some of the older names coming back to race, man, we've got super competitive fields at the front especially, man. I mean, you know, you've got Michelle and Mick and AJ's right in there with those guys, and then there's a slight gap back to about 6 more of us, and then the guys in the middle and the rear of the field are racing hard too, so I'm excited to see that the series continues to grow and that the competition's getting closer and closer.
You guys put on a great show for us today all throughout the field, that's for sure. Thanks for coming and talking to us, and hope to see you next week.
Okay, guys, see you at Silverstone. Thanks again.
That was Billy Bob Wright finishing in 4th today. Behind him, coming home in 5th, is Ben Zocco, and it looks like Sean has caught up with him.
Ben, good day to you, my friend. Boy, that was a pretty busy race. Lots of good battles out there, and you were kind of in the middle of it all.
Yeah, hi Sean. I hope to put on a good show for the fans.
You know what? It really, really was. Certainly the last third of that race. Just so many battles on track. And tell us about your drive today. Was it a bit of an adventure? Brands Hatch, this track a little tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very tricky. You got to be real careful. I think that was the key to my success. Was just making sure I've got a couple of troublesome corners, and if I just took them careful every time, then I'd be all right. Only just moved to the new house and got set up, so I haven't had much running time. But I noticed in the Tasman Cup race that I was slower into the first corner and the last corner, and then that's what I worked on and improved on, and it was able to help me get past Gary today. We had a good fun battle, and I was actually going to wait until the last lap to do the move, but he made enough mistakes, and I think maybe he was starting to fuel save because he was maybe lifting coasting into a couple of the corners. So it was, once I got past him, it was easy to pull away. Really good fun though.
So you're just you're in the middle of, or just completing a move to a new location, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh boy. That's a tough proposition anytime you have to go through that and then have to get ready for a race. Lots going on in your life right now, but you managed to pull out a top 5 finish and get a good result here, and that's gotta make the day feel pretty good right now.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to get one of these races in. I won't be able to do many of these for the rest of the season, as it's now 1:30 in the morning. So less opportunities to attend these races, but it's good to come in here and to have a good race. Thanks, GSRC.
Yeah, well, listen, hey, thanks to you and for putting on that great show today. We'll catch you next time. Hopefully we get a chance to see you next week.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
All right, Joe, and that was Benjamin Zocco, our 5th place finisher today. And do we have one more, I think, up there waiting? Yeah, we do. Jack Olstad is going to join us here, Joe.
Indeed. We didn't get any of the podium, but we got the other 3 drivers who scored points. Jack getting the last single one, and it wasn't without having to work for it. Jack, you had your own little fight with Gary Teal that sadly broke up at the end.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed because I was hoping to go all the way to the checkered flag with Gary, because it was great having him back racing with us. I know he's been racing these first 2 races that I missed, but man, Gary and I go way back. He was always faster than me when I first started, and then as I started getting a little better and better, I was able to keep up with Gary, but he'd usually get the better of me. So it was kind of neat to be the hunter rather than the huntee this time. And I was looking forward to battling him all the way to the end and see if he's going to hold me off. But I guess he only was running 6 gallons, and he ran out of gas right there on the second last lap. So, but the tangle on the second or third lap there, I hope it didn't look like I dived in to try to cut off Mick. Or what happened there is Tayaki got on the brakes sooner than I expected, and I bumped him just barely with my nose, and it was enough to throw me into the inside, and that's how Mick and I collected. And then Mick ended up with the worst of it. I felt bad for that, but and it definitely, my car wasn't handling the best after that, but I was able to fight through and at least get a point there.
That explains it. We thought that maybe you were just so worried about the car ahead you didn't see Mick coming up behind you, because we know that you don't necessarily race like that, trying to cut off drivers. So, regardless, even despite that incident, you qualified in 15th and came home in 6th. You got to be proud of that many positions gained.
Yeah, it was, I think it's cool when that kind of stuff happens, where it throws things into a little bit of a different mix, and instead of all the fast guys being up at the front, you end up having some of us battle through. But I'm still just really bummed that Mick wasn't able to be a part of that, because I know he probably wouldn't have finished at least in 3rd. And worked his way through. And it would have been fun to be battling with him or trying to keep up with him during that time. But, oh well, I got to to talk to Mick and make sure he understands that what happened there was, in fact, on my replay, you can see the nose of my car gets damaged right as I'm hitting Tayaki's right rear, and that's what threw me into the inside. But anyways, it was a lot of fun though. I'm glad we had so many guys turn up. I hope we can keep this up.
I hope so as well. It was awesome to see such great fighting all throughout the field. Again, congratulations on getting a point today, and look forward to seeing you at Silverstone.
Yeah, I'll definitely be there at Silverstone. I'm going to miss Open Park because I'll be at the U.S. Grand Prix, but I'll be trying to make most of the races this year for sure.
Awesome to hear. That was Jack Olstead, 6th place finisher today here at Brands Hatch. And with that, we are going to finish as well. And as we wrap up, we want to give a big thanks to Jack Olstead and Benjamin Zoko, who do a lot behind the scenes to help bring this broadcast to air. And also thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. They do a lot to make sure we get to air. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide us our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Or you can check out our social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, or reach out to us on Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. As we mentioned, the next race at Silverstone, interestingly, at the Grand Prix course this time instead of the historic version. That's what they typically race here in the 49s, but not this time. Saturday, October 14th is when that will take place. That'll be at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.